Blackstone Audio presents Whistlin' Past the Graveyard, a Pine Deep story by Jonathan Maberry. This book is read by Ray Porter. Author's note. This story takes place several years after the events described in the Pine Deep trilogy, of which Ghost Road Blues is the first volume. You do not need to have read those books in order to read, and hopefully enjoy, this little tale set in rural Pennsylvania. 1. He had 6 different names. It was Francisco Spinelli on his birth certificate, but even his parents never called him that. They called him Little Frankie most of his life. A kid's name that once hung on him made sure he'd never quite grow up. His father wasn't even Big Frankie. Dad was Vinny. Big Frankie was an uncle back in Sicily, but who wasn't called Big Frankie in Sicily just when people talked about him. Big Frankie never set a goddamn foot on American soil. In school, from about 4 minutes after he stepped onto the kindergarten playground, he was spoons. It was better than Little Frankie in about the same way that a kick in the balls was better than catching the clap, not a holiday either way. In the old neighborhood in South Philly, he was Frankie Spoons for all of the 6 months he lived there, and that's a cool name. Made him sound like a made man, which he would never and could never be. But it sounded great when he walked into the tap room and someone called out, "Hey, Frankie Spoons, come on and have a beer with the grown-ups." Actually, no one ever said exactly that, but it was in his head. It's what he heard every time he walked into the bar, especially when he saw one of the Donatellas there, who were 3rd or 4th cousins. It was the kind of thing they said to each other because they were made men. The Donatella cousins worked a protection racket their family had owned since the 60s. They all had great nicknames, and they all said cool things to each other. Francisco just liked hanging out at that bar because it made him feel like a man, like a tough guy. Then he knocked up a girl from the burbs, and the next thing he was living in a crappy little town called Pine Deep in the inbred Deliverance backwoods of Bucks County, near her folks and family, way too far from Philly. And although it was right over the bridge from New Jersey, it wasn't over the right bridge. Cross over the Delaware up there, and you're in fucking Stockton or Lambertville or some other artsy-fartsy damn place where they put boursin cheese on a son-of-a-bitchin' cheesesteak, which is like putting nipple rings on the Virgin Mary. Out there in Pine Deep, he was Spoonsy to the guys at the Scarecrow Tavern. Another stupid name that clung to him like cow shit on good shoes.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?